Well, you caught me. I did say that I was going to add the update of the Baccarat Win Pro shoes situation to the end of the last demo, and then it got so long because I decided to put in two Baccarat Win Pro shoes in that particular demo, the most recent ones. And what with the sort of inspirational speech from a high flying, high rolling whale of a professional gambler, I decided to do this whole thing separately. So what we now have is we've got 1,372 Baccarat Win Pro shoes in this model, plus about 430 others. And we're looking at a £5. Sorry about the pounds, but I live in Poundland, so I don't do dollars. Well, I do, but only when I'm actually playing for dollars. Yeah, so we're looking at a 9.8% hold of the total action of 13.326 million. Average bet of 103, 3.6% skips, a 125% win over loss advantage. That's up here. P whatever. So it's 131 of the average win and 105 average loss. 125% is what I try for. But obviously, there's only so much that's within my control or yours if you're being very, very smart and following the pattern betting strategy. But what we're looking at is a very, very solid win. We've got 14% commission, which gives the lie to the whole idea that commission is 5%. I mean, the nonsense that people honestly believe about the game of Baccarat. It's the same, of course, with all the other games on the casino floor. And most of this crap, most of this smoke and mirrors stuff is generated by the casino business itself because it helps their bottom line to confuse, obfuscate, discombobulate, and above all, make drunk the players who are bringing their money to the table, the vast majority of whom don't bring enough money to the table so they can't afford to win. And yeah, that's a kind of a cliched expression, but it happens to tell the story pretty accurately. You have to have a lot of money behind you, but having a lot of money does not make you a winner any more than having this brilliant strategy and not enough money will make you a winner. You've got to be able to combine the two. And so this is why I get pissed off with not pissed off, just disappointed, I guess, or frustrated by. I'm not pissed off with them. I don't know them, and that would be silly. I'm sort of trying to restrain myself here. But your Vegas Mats with all of the resources that he has, your Mr. Handpays with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at his disposal. Less so people like Brandon O'Brien because he doesn't have the kind of firepower that the other guys have. But particularly somebody like Dana White, who I took the mickey out of gently in the last demo. I mean, sort of sitting there under a spotlight with a microphone, under his nose, saying that he won $1 million a night for 23 consecutive nights. I mean, that is such bollocks. But people believe it. There are some people out there who believe it, and they'll think, "Oh, I got to play Baccarat. I got to give this a go," And of course, Vegas Matt did the same thing because he had his big, his shillibration, his shillionaire jump up and down when he hit 1 million subscribers. And, he was hurling money around like it was going out of style. And his last bet saved the day. a single bet for 100,000, and that put him on Front Street, as he and his gang like to call it, when they'd been losing consistently, not because of bad luck, by golly, no, because of bad play, bad play. And they're entitled to do whatever they want with their money. Vegas Matt doesn't make any claims for his method of play. Neither does Mr. Handpay. The guy who stands out like a sore thumb is Dana White, because he sits there and says that the way he plays made him over $21 million in barely 3 weeks, just playing his way against the same casino night after night for 23 nights. And that, I think, most people would agree, is pretty damn offensive. But anyway, let's look at the numbers here. Nearly 130,000 rounds altogether. 752 average win per hour. It's at one shoe per hour, which is, that's pretty slow. Especially at mini-back. Mini-back, they're gonna do at least twice that well. But that's fine. I've left that as it is. 752. Let's see. What else have we got? I mentioned the commission, 14%. The edge, the house edge, was about 1.64% currently. We turned that into a player edge of 0.1%. So we're not exactly going nuts there, are we? But it's a 98 to 1 improvement on the house edge. We had some seriously nasty drops here. We had 6,000 down from 15,000 to 6, and then from, come on then, show me, 181, 182,000 to drop to 42,000. And then, well, there's a few nasties here. There's this one here where we're at 952,000 and we dropped to 751. So that's a 200,000 drop. And pattern betting recovered. That's the main thing. 828, 829 here, down from, come on, now down from a million plus. Another nasty drop here, and another one very recently, down to 1,106,000 from, come on, squeeze it out, no, I can't get it to work now, that's a pain. There it is, 406. So, we've had some nasty moments, but what you have to keep in mind is that a model like this, it's a big picture kind of yardstick, if you like. It'll tell you whether a strategy is a good idea or not, but it will plow through anything at all that's thrown at it, absolutely anything. And if we look at the WCS, which is short for worst case scenario, go and have a look at that. And here we've got a situation where, frankly, I don't believe that we would that human beings would sit through this. We get 3 consecutive wins, and then, maybe we'd jump out there, and then we go down to the next shoe. And of course, this insists on it all being in chronological order, which is pushing reality a little bit. But it's all I can do. Everything is in chronological order here, but it is sort of pushing reality a little bit, because who's to say that this skip up here would be followed by this specific shoe? What I'm trying to say to you folks is that any shoe will do. But then we get to the next one, and we've got into serious stretch here, and we get 5 losses in a row, then a single win, then a loss, then a win, and by then we're at 100,000. We'd have actually, at 100,000, you're better off to just really stick where you are, wherever you are. But all I'm trying to say to you is that this demonstrates the fact that pattern betting is a viable strategy. We're now at 130,000 rounds, for Christ's sake, you know, but all the green horizontals are the norm. That's the way patterns usually are. But then you get this volatility coming up every so often, and that's where the house will get you, because they have a ton more money than you do. So you might go through a wonderful winning streak where you're kicking their ass, but then all of a sudden things will go against you. Volatility will bite, and it'll be against you, and you will run out of money. So there we have it. That's the end of that story. Couple of things to think about are always, sort of the consecutive win and loss thing. It's roughly, so you get 32,460 isolated wins, 16,153 twins, double wins, and then it's always about 50% cut each time, because it's pretty much an even game. So that's how that works. What else can I tell you? I can't even remember what's over here. Oh yeah, that's just hop and player. So, that's the story. Take it or leave it. I always say the same thing, but there's no fiddling or fakery going on here. This is how it is. I set the hop at -5 instead of -3 simply because I feel that in real play, the smart thing to do is to hop less often when the bets are low, and hop more frequently once you're into really heavy duty, big bets. But I can't easily model that. So I just set this at a kind of a compromise, if you like. And the skip is up here, -5 and more than 2,000. There are all kinds of aspects to this model, which I could go into in detail with somebody who was really interested. But what I've learned over the years is that 999 out of 1,000 gamblers could not give a fart about numbers. They just don't care. They go into Las Vegas or wherever it might be, and I'm always focused on Nevada because I lived there for so long and I spent so much time in Las Vegas over the 40-odd years that I was no, it wasn't 40-odd years, it was 37, 38 years, something like that. So that's where my focus is. But it's also a very, very good kind of way of staying on top of the realities of gambling. And the vast majority of people who play in Nevada and in casinos all around America and all around the world, in Macau or Singapore or Australia or wherever you want to talk about, France, obviously, they are in it for excitement, fun, jeopardy, thrills, and they don't really care about the underpinning numbers. I do. Maybe a dozen people out there who've come across my channel also do, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and as I said, take it or leave it. And I will tack on the latest Nevada figure for games to this demo, because that's always worth looking at. You've got to remember that the 15 billion or whatever the hell it is that they make in a year in Las Vegas alone. No, it's Nevada alone. Sorry, Las Vegas is the biggest chunk, obviously, but it is a statewide thing, taking in Reno and State Line or South Lake Tahoe and so on. But it's a chunk of money. And that's not money from the incredibly expensive hotels in Las Vegas or the incredibly expensive meals now, because gone are the days when you got a room for $10 a night and a fantastic meal, a blowout steak meal for for $5, a fin, as they used to call it back in oh God, what was the name of that wonderful writer in New York? Never mind. It doesn't matter. Great guy. Had a funny name. Now it's going to bug me. So Forgive me. I'm so sorry. But yeah, this is just numbers, 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 and incredibly boring to the vast majority of people. But I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. See you next time. Okay, so I add updates of these Nevada summaries to my demos every once in a while when appropriate. Not because I think that Nevada is the be all and end all, not because I'm influenced by the fact that I lived in the state for many, many years. But it's just that it helps us get a kind of a perspective of the numbers that are involved in what most people think is just fun and games. But obviously, on the business side of gambling, it's all about numbers. It's not about fun and games, and that doesn't mean to say that dealers and other staff working for casinos can't be great fun and good to be with and friendly and all that sort of stuff. But it's just that everything comes down to figures like these. Figures that tell us, for instance, that table, counter, and card games, as they call them, made in the last 12 months up to the end of at the end of 2024, made 5 billion for the casino business, and slot machines made 15.6 billion for the casinos. It's it's just mind blowing, really. I mean, the win amount from 21 alone is what, 1.34 billion. Win percent 14.25%. We're always told that the numbers behind that game are, the house edge is between 0.5 and 0.75, around 0.7, so less than 1%. But look at that, 14.25%. And I know I bang on about these things a lot, but this is reality. This is not sort of, flash and bang and thrills and excitement and jollies and fun. This is what these games are all about. And it's like, you look at roulette, which is 17% to the house, Texas Hold'em 23%, three-card poker, the biggest rip-off on the floor, 30%, just over 30%, and on it goes. And I'm not saying to anybody, okay, look at these figures and don't ever play again. What I am saying is recognize the importance of the numbers that underpin the games that are being offered to you on the casino floor. Understand that the odds are very much against you, and don't pretend that you're a big winner against the odds, like one person in particular who I recently took a gentle pot shot at. Somebody sitting down under the lights with a microphone and saying that he won $1 million a night for 23 nights in a row is doing nobody any favors, least of all himself. But that's his problem. But that's the kind of thing that you deal with, and there are people out there who believe this stuff. And of course, it's kind of interesting that the guy who came out with this bit of nonsense is apparently a close friend of the newly re-inaugurated president of the United States, because the president is a past master at telling big, fat porkies and not being challenged by people on his own side, because just like Putin's pals in Russia, they are afraid to challenge him because they have their jobs at stake and their fortunes at stake and their prospects at stake, and so they just keep their mouths shut against their better judgment, or at least I assume against their better judgment, although of course Trump is putting more and more loyalists into positions of power in his government, so the number of people willing to stand up to him is greatly reduced. And could that be his plan, do you think? Anyway, no politics. I'm sorry about that, but it's just All I'm saying is, look at the numbers. Don't pretend that you're beating the house unless you have a non-random strategy, because all of these wins rely on random betting. And if you look at slot machines, the best you can hope for is 4.46 against you, and the worst is 9.4. I mean, either way, the average across the board is 7.2% house advantage. So it's no surprise that Vegas Matt and his mob talk about losing 300,000 last year. Of course they did, but they are in the unique position of getting their money back from various sources, including Google, 70%, merchandise, 15%, and I forget what the other 15% was that EJ announced in one of his many sort of self-promoting public appearances. But anyway, you and I don't have Google revenue to pay us back when we fall flat on our faces. So this is the stuff that I suggest politely we all need to keep in mind.
They go toe to toe. Yeah, there's these fucking dudes that come in out of Asia.
Yeah.
So how I started to learn how to play Baccarat is I went down to the high limit room at Caesar's Palace. Mm-hmm. I love Caesar's Palace. So I go down there, and it's all Chinese and Asians down there, and they play Baccarat. They will fucking sit there 7:30 at night till 10 o'clock the next morning.
Jesus.
And they're sitting there. They got their cards. They're writing all this shit down. I learned learning how to play, watching what they do, and learning the rules and the do's and don'ts of the game. And so I started playing seriously in January, and I beat them for $1 million a night for I want to say like 23 trips.
What?
23 trips. I beat them for $1 million a night. Then we're about to go on we're going out of town somewhere, and I'm in there. We're literally supposed to be on the fucking plane in like 25 minutes, and I get clipped for $5 million. And so we had to jump on the plane, go on a trip.